Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boys Jack and Dave here, providing you guys your Twitter reacts, post-match, and all that good stuff. Spurs are basking in the housery, basking in the win, definitely giving Neil Maupay an earful, giving the referee an earful, just kind of the usual Twitter stuff as you would expect, but very good and entertaining action. Looking forward to this one. If you can for us, please smash that like button because putting in this straight away after the game as well. So feel free to, smash that like button for us. Get your comments in below what your favorite bit of the Spurs Twitter sphere is. But Dave, before we dive ourselves into it, what are you expecting from the Spurs Twitter fan base?
Do you know what, Jack? I always say we're at our best when we win, right? And when we shithouse a win like that, especially with the manner of it, with them taking the piss out of us, I expect it to be absolutely entertaining. So let's go. I can't wait. This is
Yeah.
where the Spurs fans are at their best.
Now, for some reason, I can't even get this up for. I'm gonna see if I can just click on the tweet. Yeah, hold that, Neil Maupay says. Whoever I could for some reason I can't get the username up, and it's not letting me show it. So I apologize. But excellent housery on the effect of Brennan Johnson there. You'd absolutely love to see it. And then the Spurs Express saying Neil Maupay has actually, in fact, responded to James Maddison on Twitter, who, definitely we'll see, gave Neil Maupay a bit of something to think about. But apparently says, went a bit early with that one, I'll admit. Gutted we couldn't get the win, though. More goals and less relegation in my career than James Maddison. We go again Monday, bees. I mean, Neil's just got to learn to take the L, doesn't he? Just got to learn to take this L.
I mean, the fact that he's bragging about having more goals than Maddison. I mean, Maddison's a midfielder. And he's a striker. I'd expect him to. And I wouldn't say there's much in it either. Look, he just needs to hold that big fat L and enjoy it. He
Yeah.
went early, like you said, and he came back to bite him. And on the Brennan Johnson one, I love the fact that when they're in the huddle celebrating, Johnson was just going like this, taking the piss out of him. Was absolutely brilliant. It's great to see.
And
Do you know what? Just quickly, that's the second time Saka done that. Didn't learn his lesson, right? We walked out of the Emirates with a point. They went and done it. It wasn't just Maupay, by the way. It was Tony as well. And they got humbled. So hopefully more teams try and do that to us.
just crying about it too much, Neil Maupay. Just need to learn to take that L. Hotspur related saying forward Timo Werner has registered as many Premier League assists this season as Trent Alexander-Arnold and Bruno Fernandes and Gabriel Jesus. It's always fun to throw Jesus under the bus. The Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, that's crazy to think about because he really has been having a terrific season for them. And then Bruno Fernandes, maybe, yeah, not the same season that we're sort of used to with him. And just a bit of added context. Timo is all of a sudden coming to the Premier League, surpassing those guys. Very, very good to see. James saying, Richarlison, I absolutely love this, Dave. He even partook in his own bit of housery here. Very fun to see. Very fun to see from Richie there. Very good. I definitely love that one.
That was at the Brentford fan store, right? Didn't he go over to that corner where they were and do that celebration? That's what's epic about it.
Oh, is that it? Definitely. Oh, I see. Yeah, excellent
And then the
housery from
salute.
Richie. Excellent housey from Richie. Definitely love to see that. Cho saying, Udogie pointing at the badge. Things you love to effing see. And yeah, I mean, the kid, you could tell, somebody who really would probably take that mistake, really personally. And he's a very motivated guy as well, Udogie. So it's the last person that you want to see that mistake happen to. But he's probably one of the best mentalities still in this team. And you knew that he was going to rise back and rise from it. And he was determined, you could tell, to get that goal back for us. So you absolutely love the shoulders on that kid. And
Do
then,
you know what?
yeah,
Funny enough, my dad hates all that stuff. He hates when Porro does all that. I absolutely love it. I mean, for me, it just shows, how much he loves his time being here, and it's a massive change from what we've seen over the last few years. So I want to see more of that from this squad.
maybe your dad just, is just a bit jealous that he can't be, on the pitch doing it himself. He probably wishes that was him, able to put in that goal and do that celebration. And Billy saying, no way, this guy must be 16. I think he's just talking about sort of Brennan Johnson's pettiness. Yeah, I think indeed, just really, really rubbing it in there with Maupay and Maddison as well, really lapping it up too. Just gorgeous to see. Very fun to see.
I love it. I love it. It's so childish, but it's brilliant.
And more some celebrations here. Got some darts from the Richie again. He's just really given that Brentford fan base, a real good time here. And Richie giving his own pigeon celebration, I believe, after this one. An extra dart celebration too, double down on the dart celebration. So lovely bit of housery from Richie there. Just housery in general, it seems like, is the word I'm going to consistently use. Big John Bass saying, since this incident, refs have given us next to nothing. So many awful decisions. Dave, would you say since the Liverpool result, I sort of called it, that we were never going to get a good performance or a good shake of the hand from a referee ever again?
Yep, yep. You did. You said it straight away. As soon as you seen it, you called it, and it looks like that, right? You know, I go back to the Fulham game. How many times was Palhinha allowed to pull down players, and yet we took the first booking? Crystal Palace didn't get their first booking until 90 plus minutes. Same with Nottingham Forest, yet despite all them pulling us down. You know, then you go into this game, Norgard. He's on a yellow card. He's made about 6 challenges, every single one of them stuff that we get cards for, and he walks off the pitch after 98 minutes. It's absolutely unbelievable. But you know what? This is where I also want the club to get tough. You know, you're allowed inquiries. You see other managers putting pressure on the referees through press conferences and various other ways. It's about time we started doing it.
Yeah. And HLTCO saying, I'd imagine Spurs fans aged about 6 months across that 90 minutes tonight. The hour or so I saw of it looked like constant chaos. I think that's usually how our games, go, but that was especially one of those where just a real hard one on the heartbeat, on the heart rate, just sort of the anxieties, the stressors. It's just it's tough life being a Spurs fan, and it's tough doing these watch-alongs, on top of that as well. I mean, it's even harder to have to make these reactions in front of everybody, to somehow keep some sort of sanity. But we do our best, for sure. But definitely not easy being a Spurs fan. Definitely are aging.
My hair out.
Yeah.
I used to have luscious, hair. It's all thin now.
It's thinned out from all the stress. Billy saying, crying at the idea of Fabio ringing some Swedish kid every half hour during the match. This is my criminal.
Do you know what I love about it, Jack? We're playing football. He's playing football manager. I absolutely love it, We're just about to go into a game, and all of a sudden, this kid has had talks with Deco. He's left and flew to London to have talks with Spurs. Absolutely love it.
Can't you just can't rest the Fabio. It just never can. Prof Spurs saying, by the way, how did they come up with just 6 minutes of added time after the first half, but then added 7 minutes of added time after the second half? Fair point, actually, right? Like, it felt like there was so much time wasted in that first half that 6 minutes was probably not actually enough, considering how much time really had been wasted. And then the 7 minutes of added time in the second half, it was like, when has there been time wasted in the second half? There's been none whatsoever, because Brentford were trying to get back into the game, so they couldn't do their time wasting. And Spurs haven't really been that sort of club, I would say, this season, where, we get involved in that sort of type of, the type of time wasting. We used to, but I wouldn't say as much this season. So really just, again, more just question marks about the referees, I would say, in that one.
You know what hurts though, Jack? Even when Brentford weren't time wasting, which they took an eternity over every set piece, by the way, the VAR time wasted anyway, because they spent 3 minutes looking at a decision that you could see was offside all day long. It's just baffling, to be honest with you. It's baffling.
Johnny Sutton saying, did I miss it because I couldn't see where Richarlison fouled Collins for the disallowed goal? Nope, you didn't miss anything, Johnny. Didn't miss anything. It was just the biggest dive, probably worse than the first dive that he gave, actually. The second one probably really takes the cake, because actually Richarlison made more contact with him on the first push than he did actually in the second one. Collins dove even worse on the second one.
Do you know what's embarrassing, right? We've got some great, Ireland is known for its great fighters, and then you see Collins take a dive like that, sort of dispels that narrative around Ireland. But also, is it just me, or if that happened at the other end, they would have called in the forensic team, would have got them dusting around the places, placed their little cards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 everywhere, and really had a forensic examination. We didn't even get a replay, but yet Brentford put in one cross that was blocked, and we've seen it 20 times. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Definitely would have given the goal if it were somebody else. Definitely would have.
Yeah.
Tottenham Tears pointing out Maddison had this to say about Maupay. He's not scored enough goals of his own to have his own celebration, so he's decided to copy mine. That's what happens when you don't score enough goals, that you just don't know what to do with yourself. You don't have that class or that composure, that sort of like, you've been there before type of attitude. He just didn't know what to do with himself, so he decided to copy somebody else, and is paying the consequences of it, paying the karma for it.
I love the clap back. I love Maddison. The more he opens his mouth, the more I love him.
Brendan Johnson on Instagram apparently wrote, "Not in our house."
Do you know what? I come into this game hating him. I've left the game absolutely loving him because of his shithouse nature.
Speaks of the 180 of that Spurs performance for sure. Billy saying superb yellow from Donnelly, proper kiddo. It was exactly what you needed from a kiddo, is just to have somebody come on who knows what it means, to play for the badge. And that's what sometimes playing for the badge means, dragging him down to the ground, and throwing him to the ground, especially Neil Maupay. Was very jealous of actually Jamie Donnelly getting to do that, because I wish I got to throw him to the ground and pull him down like that.
Do you know, I can't help but feel Romero gives these young lads lessons, an hour after the game. How do you throw it? No, you do it this way. You grab him here, and it's replicated. I absolutely love that from Donnelly. Don't let him run away with it. Just take him down. Brilliant. Learning lessons already.
And if Maupay probably had a bit more hair, I bet Donnelly would have maybe yanked on that too. Hotspur related saying, won a Premier League match today without involvement from either Heung-min Son or Harry Kane for the first time in over 5 years. Talk about a stat. And I know I'd already told you that stat though, Dave, but just sort of shows how not often do Spurs really get over the line without these two guys. Of course, it's pretty rare to be without either of them, but now that we are missing a Harry Kane and now missing Sonny because of the Asian Cup, sort of without our two heroes, the guys that we usually depend on in these games. So we have to get it done by ourselves, have to get it done without them, right? We can't just lean on them every time anymore.
No, 100%. And look, that was most of our concerns coming out of that Kane-Son era. And, the reason why I say Son is you probably got, 2-3 years left, and then you're coming out of that. So at some point, players do have to step up without having them in the team. And, it was, I think, Manchester United, it was the first time since 2019 we sent out a team without Son or Kane in it, So, it's good to see that we can pick up, we're starting to pick up results. It's, we can't rely on them forever.
Yeah. Michael Hamilton saying Brentford go from 1-up to 2-1 down in a couple of minutes. Spurs crowd chant, Ivan Toney, you should have cashed out. You should have cashed out. Absolute genius.
This is why I love the Spurs fan base, Now I understand why everyone hates us.
Maybe so. Especially, also, I remember I was present for the Kurt Zuma meows. That was very fun. I've seen some other bits of housery from us as well in the past in that regard. Definitely fully support it. Fully support it. Well done by the Spurs fan base. Big John Bass saying that geezer has committed over 20,000 fouls this game and wipes us out on a clear break and no second yellow, though. Dearie me. Once again, is it really that crazy to suggest a referee agenda with this Spurs team? Because I feel like how many times have we even had this sort of situation with the ref where he's just blatantly ignoring a player that's just taking us out on every occasion he can, tactical fouls, breaking up moves, breaking up counterattacks. We've seen it before with Ryan Yates, seen it before with Matty Cash. The list just goes on with various players, and yet the referees just do nothing about it. The moment we do something about it, immediately we get thrown into the book. How many times has Udogie been unfairly thrown into the yellow card sort of accumulator? So, I mean, Big John Bass, all I can say is it's just more evidence of the agenda that I think is at play here.
I'm a big fan of UFC, lads. And, I mean, UFC refs don't even let that as much go as they do on Tottenham. It's actually embarrassing.
Pedro Porro, 3 points on my 1-year anniversary at this amazing club. Thank you all for all of the support since my arrival at Spurs fans. Onwards and upwards from here. He's had a brilliant time, Pedro Porro. I fell in love with this guy. Elite mentality. Probably is, over time, really solidified himself as one of the best fullbacks, if not the best fullback in this Premier League. He's just an amazing player, Dave, and we still have so much more to get from this guy, so much more years of him at this sort of top level, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to figure out the Premier League even more. Pedro Porro, what a player.
Do you know what? This guy brings a tear to my eye, Jacko. He looks good, he smells good, he plays good. I mean, what more do you want from your right back, right? He's been absolutely sensational. But what I love about is just the mentality. Just quickly, I remember, what was it, Tim Sherwood came out and said something, about him being in a lunatic asylum. Pedro Porro just clapped back, said, no problem, I'll run that lunatic asylum. Love that. And then, he's just been absolutely sensational on the pitch. Bend it like Porro. He's been a good servant. And I love, where I really fell in love with him. We're losing games. Everyone else is out leaking stuff to the press and moaning about managers. You could put a camera on Porro. Where is he? Down the side of his house with a medicine ball, taking his anger out and trying to improve himself. I mean, elite mentality, and I absolutely love the kid. And let's keep it going, Porro. Hopefully it's going to be 10 years. Hopefully there's a zero beside that in a few years, my man.
Definitely so. Cody Max saying...
Pedro, right.
Definitely. Cody Max saying the things I would do for a Maddison rocket just to finish them off. Every Tottenham player doing the dart Sally, even Vicario. Maddison, if Maddison could, have maybe picked up that goal, I'd love to see what sort of he would have pulled off against Neil Maupay. You definitely would have loved to see it. And Billy saying, I need to know what Ange said at halftime. I know there was violence. Did he bring out the hairdryer, Dave?
Do you know what, Jack? I read Ange Postecoglou's sort of quotes after the game, and they basically asked he was basically saying that, the celebration, I'd be worried if that was motivating us, this, that, and the other. But, I think he's just trying to, basically dispel away from it. But let's be brutally honest. 2 substitutes at halftime. Hasn't been any reports on a Bentancur injury. I would say he went in, let hell loose. And, it showed them the celebration, closed the door on the way out, and says, are you going to let them do that to you, and walked out. One of the easiest halftime team talks I think he's probably ever had to deliver, to be brutally honest.
Straight and forward to the point, clearly, from Big Ange. Richarlison saying, I respect and love this man an unbelievable amount. Struggled last season. Stupendous amount of pressure being put on an expensive signing. Then even more pressure was added in being tasked to replace the club's greatest ever goal scorer. Knuckled down and is now scoring for fun. Richarlison's mentality, Dave, is actually what somehow has shined through, because we did kind of say, I was guilty of it as well, and it probably might still be true, but sort of said, he's a guy that does rely sort of on confidence, does sort of rely on being in good form to be playing at his best. He can get in his own head. But now, since that surgery, since he's come back from injury, just seems to be an entirely different person, different player, of course. He's playing entirely better, much, much better than he used to. But, I mean, his mentality is actually maybe something that doesn't get spoken about enough, really.
But yeah, they're absolutely spot on. I do remember us sort of highlighting the mentality. Even when he wasn't playing well, he was still working hard out of possession, still wanting to try and do all the right things. And we spoke about that sort of mentality. If he just keeps going, things will come true. But, it's also a good lesson to players. If you do have things that's affecting your performances on the pitch, that's happening off the pitch, come out and talk about it.
Yeah, that's true. He came out and spoke about it. You're right.
You will get a bit of grace. I was one of them. I was frustrated with Richarlison, but when I heard about his off-the-field problems and that he was going to solve it, and the sort of long-term injury that he was carrying, I wiped the slate clean. I gave him that opportunity, and he's absolutely stepped up to it. He's been sensational. And, the big question around the fan base was, who's going to step up without someone? He's gone. It's been him, despite other names, despite us wanting it to be Bentancur or Kulusevski. They haven't done it. It's been him, and it's quietly gone under the radar. And I just think we're at the point now where Spurs fans should probably just get off his back a little now and give him an opportunity to breathe, and from here till the end of the season, because he takes a lot of slack, a hell of a lot of slack. And I'll be honest, if I was in his position, because as soon as he doesn't score, everyone's on his case, even if there is no service. I don't know if I'd be able to react to it that way, so credit to the guy.
Yeah. And then Patty saying, love it, love it, love it, from the boys here. And it's just nice to know that they have that sort of bite back in them, that they can, sort of push back to these sort of guys like Maupay. And just brilliant to see from Brennan Johnson as well, leading it. And also just such an important goal. Such an important goal from Brennan Johnson to get that 2-1, and love that celebration, because I think that sort of kept the intensity of these players, right? Just reminded them, that there was sort of a bit of a feud going on. There was some sort of sparks flying kind of between the two teams, and Brennan Johnson got the final say.
Do you know what I love about this, just quickly? Wait for it to come around. Look how much Højbjerg enjoys this. It's way too much. He loves it. Watch. Here it is.
he likes getting into that sort of thing, Højbjerg. He definitely does. He definitely, especially with that performance that he came on and had in the second half, definitely showed that he's still fully coys.
Changed the game. Changed the game. Got the ball, no tricks and flicks, quick. Boom, off you go and play. Changed it. That won't get spoken enough about him, though.
No, definitely not. But Dave, final words then for the Harris Army, for everybody. Twitter reacts. I mean, it's to what you expect, just Spurs fans just engaging in a bit of banter. Also, as well, pointing out how terrible the referees were, and giving some love to as well as some of our players and their great comeback. But yeah, sort of I think the typical reaction we get from our lovely fan base. Any final words from yourself?
No, I love it. Thank you guys for entertaining me first and foremost. It's absolutely brilliant. If you do have stuff you want us to react to in future shows, please just tag either myself or Jack in it. Sorry, and we'll make sure it happens. I know there was one from Joseph. He actually done what I asked him to do on the watch along, which was clip Romero and Pedro Porro, sort of chest pumping each other, and he sent Porro flying. That's how revved up Romero was. And you seen that from a few minutes after that, looking him out headers he threw himself at and ended up winning. I absolutely loved that. So sorry we couldn't get that in, Joseph. There was a problem with the link, my man. It wouldn't show up. But big yourself up. Really appreciate that. And do you know what? I say to people, enjoy these victories. These are the best ones. Referees against you, they try and mimic you and mock you and everything else. And we just want to let the football do the talking. Hold that L. We'll see Everton on Saturday. Let's go.
Hold that L, Maupay, and we'll see you for the next one. And maybe you can hold another one for us. Come on, you Spurs! In the big Ange we trust. We never stop. Hit that like button, please, on the way out. We'll be seeing you, everybody. Have a good one.